jeśli panowie pozwolą, zacznijmy proszę od prezentacji pana Floriana Franka.
Hello, yes, thank you very much. Now with the glasses it's better. So, I'm going to start to do a presentation. Well, the presentation is already there. You see, well, it's about the European research strategy for green hydrogen. I'm going to start with my presentation with the German hydrogen strategy, and then I'm going to continue on the European one. But first of all, I would like to stress the point of the green hydrogen. I was very pleased that this room is so green. When I arrived here, it was not colored brown or gray, it was just green, and I think it's very important that we discuss the issue of green hydrogen energy, because this is, at least from the point of view of the German government, the most sustainable path to get the energy transition we all need done. And a lot has been said about Ukraine crisis, and that we are all very concerned about what's going to happen there. But we also speak about the opportunities that will be later after the war also happening in Ukraine. And I have been told that Ukraine, at least the region nearby the Black Sea, is one of the most efficient or the most wanted regions for the production of green hydrogen, because of the wind capacities this region has. Is one of the most challenging and best positive regions for the production of green hydrogen in the future, and we will see what is going to happen. And coming back to green hydrogen, I also want to stress that I was very pleased that in the inauguration speech of Mrs. von der Leyen today in the morning, she also stressed the point that it's very important to get green hydrogen running in the European Union. So I have to see where's the switch. Well, it's under my paper, it's not good, so this is the next one. Up. Okay, this one. Okay, this is to be a part I'm going to get through quickly. Well, you all know what hydrogen means, because you're all experts in the field. So I'm not going to stress too much on this slide, but it means for us hydrogen decarbonization and the possibility of getting the energy transition done. This means it's a backbone for the energy transition, using renewable energy for production and getting renewable energy stored, because this is one of the biggest problems we are facing with sustainable energy or renewable energy. The wind is not always blowing, the sun is not always shining, so this is the reason why we also need green hydrogen. So next picture. You see now the picture of the actual situation in Germany, how we are going to produce, or what is produced on green hydrogen or hydrogen in Germany. It's not green. I have to say that most of the hydrogen we are producing is gray energy, gray hydrogen. And the most of this hydrogen is going to be used in industrial processes. We're not using hydrogen in mobility. We're not using hydrogen for heating. We are just using hydrogen for energy, for industrial processes, mainly in chemical processes. And this is going to be also the future. Now my papers have gone, so I will try to do it without them. So this is the way we are going to go forward. We have been speaking about discussing with our colleagues about the path forward for green hydrogen in Germany. And the Germany Hydrogen National Strategy has been published in 2020. This means 3 years later than the Japanese strategy has been published. And this is the path we are going to follow now. You see, the future of hydrogen in Germany means, when you calculate the figures, that by 2030 we will have to not to double the production, not only to double the production, but to get eightfold the production we have now. And this is something we are going to do by using green energy sources. The implementation of the national hydrogen strategy means that, first of all, we have to see where we're going to produce hydrogen. We have to see where hydrogen can be used, in which is the market options for hydrogen. And then we have to step up with the marketing process. And there we start with the European process for hydrogen, for green hydrogen production. This has been an initiative of the German presidency. They started with the German presidency. It was a trio presidency issue or strategy together with Poland, with Portugal. Sorry, the flag hasn't been possible to put here in this presentation, but the flag between the Slovenian and the German flag is the Portugal flag, and these three countries together have made the pilot process to get the strategy on green energy production, green energy research, green hydrogen research in Europe. So this is the spreadsheet where you can see how the process was done, how the process was delivered. You see 25 European member states participated in this endeavor to get the most important issues solved. So this means production of hydrogen and legal implications, to which extent you had to harmonize the standards, and market run up in the end. I'm very sorry to say here that the Polish government didn't participate in this process. Well, one of the two missing member states, we still would like to have Poland on board, because we think that Poland is one of the most important producers of green hydrogen, not only in Europe but also worldwide, would be a good partner to get the energy transition done. But to come back to colors, for the Polish government it has been extremely difficult to step in a process that meant the strategy of green hydrogen. They told us that green hydrogen is too narrow. And I have to say they are right, because we have to think about both. Well, green energy, well, not both, but all forms of hydrogen, green hydrogen, blue hydrogen, turquoise hydrogen, gray hydrogen, because we need the market to get also the, the need to produce more hydrogen. But on the long run, it's very important to get green hydrogen running, because if not, we don't get the energy transition done. In the energy transition, this means that we also can solve our climate issue. This also has been mentioned today. We tend to forget how dramatic are the climate changes happening here not only in Europe, worldwide. They're not going to stop for themselves. We have to do something actively. And one of these paths to get this done in the energy sector is going for green hydrogen. So you see, I'm selling you green hydrogen. Afterwards, you can ask me at the door if I can sell you some green hydrogen. No, I really mean it seriously. It's the only way to get the energy transition done. So, next picture. This is the green hydrogen process we have done with our partners during, 25 partners we had. We started asking them with expert groups what were the main issues, and you see we also involved not only governments but also academia, industry and civil society. Civil society is also an issue that has been mentioned several times during this conference. It was very interesting for me that also this security issue, is hydrogen secure, is really an issue, because it was in Germany, it's not known. Nobody fears green hydrogen. It's more the problem we have on the production side. This means when they're going to construct high or big windmill farms, there's a lot of resistance. So this is the process, the process for the green hydrogen research strategy. And this has been published this year in March. You can also see it, where you can download it online. I don't have the paper with me, where the main issues that we are going to tackle are stressed and explained. What is going the following up process? Well, we're now implementing this strategic research and innovation agenda. There have been the first publications, research publications, 300, well, publications, no publications, but the call for interest, 300 million euros have been put on the table by the European Commission to get the first projects. There will be more to come, because now at the moment we are discussing, the members of this research group are going to discuss the further funding of and the strategy for the European Commission in research for the next years. So it still makes sense also for Poland to get into this process, because there's money to be spent and there are ideas to be discussed in the field of green hydrogen. Well, it can also be other forms of hydrogen, but just come in and join us. I think this was the last slide. I've talked enough. I stop now.
Jestem bardzo ciekawa po tych wszystkich uwagach, które Pan przedstawił, po tych projektach, pomysłach, planach inwestycyjnych. Czy Republika Federalna Niemiec jest zadowolona z tego procesu wdrażania technologii wodorowych, na którym się teraz skupia? Bo Niemcy są jednocześnie wielkim importerem, jednym z największych w Europie, paliw kopalnych. To ma być przeciwwaga. Jak daleko jesteście jeszcze Państwo od takiego momentu, żeby to wodór był dominujący i czy w ogóle Niemcy chcą, aby to wodór był dominujący? I jeśli pan minister pozwoli, to ja zacznę od pana dyrektora po prezentacji po prostu, gdyby pan zechciał jeszcze tak trochę rozpędem odpowiedzieć na moje pytanie.
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's very important to keep in mind that hydrogen is not a new energy source. The energy sources are renewable, well, how do you say, wind energy, solar energy, whatsoever. Hydrogen is just an energy carrier. This means you can't compare fossil fuels and hydrogen. You can use it in a similar way, but it's not a source. And I think it's very important not to forget the other forms of energy we have. Today I heard a lot of presentations also from Korea, if I recall, that hydrogen is going to be one of the energy or the energy means for transport. It's much more efficient to use electric cars than using the electric energy to produce hydrogen and then put the hydrogen into the car. Well, at least when it's a small car. You can use it for trucks, or you can use hydrogen to get synthetic fuels. This means you will be able to use hydrogen as basic component for the synthesizing of kerosene you're going to use in air transport. But hydrogen is just the start. It's just a good, how you mean to get I would say the backbone of the renewable energy transformation we need so heavily here in Europe. And you asked me about imports, energy imports. Germany is not a very sunny place. This is the reason why a lot of Germans are going to Spain or to France, because it's nicer there, because it's sunnier. And you have areas like Ukraine, I mentioned before, well, they have a lot of wind. You have Africa. We have done a roadmap for African hydrogen production. And this means we have to diversify, where we don't have to rely only on Africa on hydrogen production. We don't have to rely only on Ukraine for hydrogen production. But you can diversify. And now my minister is, well, not my minister, because I'm now working for the Foreign Office. I formerly worked for the Ministry of Education and Research, and the research minister is going now to Australia. She's going to do, there will be agreements with the government over there, and she said, well, we are going to ship the sun to Germany. This means we are going to produce hydrogen in Australia, because it's a very sunny place, and to ship it to Germany. And this means we will be dependent, also Poland will be dependent on energy imports if we want to stay industrialized as we are now, but we can diversify.
Czyli nie tylko źródło energii, ale również nośnik energii, jeśli dobrze rozumiem pana wypowiedź. Nie tylko źródło energii, ale również nośnik energii. Panie ministrze, poproszę pana o komentarz.
Perhaps I should make a preliminary remark. My background is chemical engineering, and I did work in the academic field of chemical process safety. So I'm not a professional politician, and if I do comment on this, then this is probably not 100% representative for German politics, but more my personal opinion about it.
Ale będzie reprezentatywny dla regionu.
Yeah, let me make 3 comments there. The first is, I think we have to be more intelligent than in the past, because actually we did not use oil or gas very reasonable. The amount which was transferred to high-value chemicals was a very low percentage, and most of it was just simply combusted. If we would do exactly the same with hydrogen, we would make a big mistake. The degree of efficiency is very low if you handle it that way. So we should look into the fields where we actually really need it. That's the question of storage, no question, and it's the question of decarbonization of industrial processes, like the production of steel, like the production of cemetery, like certain chemicals and so forth. And there we really have to make use of it. So for me, the big headline is CCU, to make use of CO2 and hydrogen to produce simple C1, C2 chemicals as the basics for further change of values which we would actually need. And I think that we should focus on that, and for these purposes, we need it in a continuous supply. So that is why I'm a little bit critical about the shipping of that material, because that way, to some extent, it is a discontinuous process. So for these processes, we need piping supplies. We have the good situation that we have the Baltic Sea, that we have the North Sea, so that there are regions where we can make use of it together with other European states. But also we have to be, how shall I say, down to earth. And what I'm currently deeply complaining about is the unbundling demand, which is being discussed on the European level, that those who are the owners and operators of natural gas pipelines shall not be allowed to be the owners and operators of hydrogen pipelines in the future. I think if that goes through the European Parliament, then we can really look for the delay which we will suffer from in terms of a development of a hydrogen market. We are working with mixes, 20% up to 60% together with natural gas, and these will be the same people who will do it, and it is one of the big advantages that we do have an infrastructure which we can use for the distribution. Usually when in Germany it comes to the point that we have to talk about electric transmission lines, but also the building of pipelines, the pace at which this is accomplished is usually compared with a snail. So I don't believe in the big acceleration of these processes, and we must make use of the existing infrastructure, and their unbundling would definitely be a big, big mistake. Last sentence to that is the question of efficiency and what we discussed in the last panel, question of financial subsidies for the industry. I think it is very good that we have that research program. We have made tremendous progress in the last 5 years. 5 years ago, the estimations were that you needed CO2 certificates of a value of 400 euros per certificate to have a competitive hydrogen market. We are down to 100 now. The current price is 80 or 85, so we are pretty close to this, that it becomes commercially compatible. And that means we have to put our effort into this, whether it's with respect to fuel cells, that we reduce the amount of titanium at the same amount of efficiency of the fuel cell and so forth. So there are lots of things to do which will help the efficiency in that respect, and that way it will be financially compatible even at low price levels for the ETS.
Bardzo dziękuję. Paul, pan powiedział wcześniej, że wodór to nie jest game changer. Czy zatem mówienie o paliwie przyszłości jest uprawnione? Może powinniśmy traktować wodór na równi z każdą inną technologią, nad którą dzisiaj trwają prace na świecie?
Yeah, indeed. Thank you. I believe that hydrogen is just an intermediate carrier. You see the developments all over the world. It's all about electrification, and it should not be realized within a few years. It will take 10 to 20 years. But at the end, for the CO2 greenhouse gas emissions, it's the best to efficiently use directly the electrical power from wind and solar. And solar will win in the end, I think, so it will all be solar. So to make that happen, and you see that already, I haven't thought it, but also in the process industry with the crackers, SABIC is thinking about an electrical cracker. And so that means that in the end, we will have a usage of a lot more of electrical power. The estimate for the Netherlands is that compared to now, we will have 4 times more electrical power consumption. And that will mean that we will stay a net importer of energy. And that makes that we have to have, you said already, we have to think thoroughly about geopolitical issues, where to get in a proper way the energy with a fair share of the profit for everyone. So we made the mistake for gas 10 years ago already, also in the Netherlands. We tied up with Gazprom, and we now have the bad luck that the gas storage is very empty right now. So we critically have to think about if the electrification is coming along, and you see the usage and the improvement of the batteries, how to secure the energy production and usage all over the world. That's one. And the second one, and you already mentioned too, is about the critical minerals for renewable energy production and also for usage. So that's why we also should work on the circular economy, lower as much as possible the critical minerals. And if they are have the refurbishment and retainment industry, so we are also working on that to get it back. So back to your question, the hydrogen, I think, will be intermediate for some processes for 10, 20 years, like the steel and the cement industry, and also for the chemical industry. Hydrogen is a building block for all kinds of materials and chemicals. There will be the issues, but I'm convinced that in the long end, also trucks will be full electrical. So it is indeed transition.
Dziękuję bardzo. Tematem naszej debaty jest pytanie, jaką ma moc zmiany wodór. Więc zastanówmy się proszę, czy rzeczywiście, albo inaczej, jaką ma moc zmiany? Czy może posunąć do przodu gospodarkę europejską i pomóc nam wygrać na przykład w konkurencji z atakującymi gospodarczo Chinami? Czy to będzie w przyszłości raczej technologia traktowana jako niewyróżniająca się, bo być może zastąpiona zupełnie innymi jeszcze technologiami, o których dzisiaj nie wiemy, a za 2 lata one z mocą supernowej się pojawią. Więc bardzo proszę wszystkich panów o próbę odpowiedzi na to pytanie. Czy rzeczywiście wodór ma moc sprawczą dużej zmiany, takiego impulsu, który pomoże nam zmniejszyć nierówności społeczne, oczyścić gospodarkę i klimat i poprawić sytuację gospodarczą? Czy też jest to okres przejściowy, który za 15-20 lat pozwoli wejść nam w zupełnie nową erę z zupełnie nowych technologii? Bardzo proszę, może pan minister zacznie.
I think you mentioned two things where the answers are different. With the question of the game changer, we should be honest to ourselves that we are 10 years behind any kind of development in Southeast Asia. We started the big battery program to have battery manufacturing at the point where China changed their politics from subsidizing battery manufacturing to hydrogen manufacturing. If you go to Hong Kong, there is no bus and public transport which is not run on the basis of hydrogen. In Beijing, you are not allowed to enter the inner circuits of the city unless the trucks are running on hydrogen. This has all been introduced, and we are still hustling to keep up with what has happened there. So, okay, it is a game changer, but it is not a game changer where we are the first to exploit it, but we are definitely second in line and 10 years behind. This is perhaps an honest question. The other question is, I think, much more challenging, which you said, whether it will help to mitigate the social inequalities in the terms of the energy transition. I heard that sentence from you, and I was a little bit afraid that you would ask me to answer it. I think the big risk which we do have is whatever we are doing in terms of climate change, climate neutrality, and however the buzzwords are called, and which I do not question that they are necessary to follow up. This is, please don't misunderstand me. But none of these things will be given away just for granted. We will have to pay a certain amount of money for it. So life will become definitely more expensive. I'm quite convinced about that. And we have to challenge or to attack the risks right at the very beginning that these kind of transitions are endurable for the middle class and for the upper class, but will really cause problems for the lower class. And if we talk about social economy, social ecological economy, then for me, I have to admit at the moment it's more a buzzword than that I see real concepts behind it, how to deal with it. This is my honest answer.
Bo też nie zauważyłam, być może, że panowie są innego zdania, aby którykolwiek rząd kładł nacisk właśnie na ten aspekt. Mówi się tylko o tym, że drożejące ceny paliw kopalnych powodują ubożenie energetyczne społeczeństwa, natomiast nie mówi się o tym, że najpierw za nowe technologie trzeba sporo zapłacić, żeby kiedyś można było na tym zyskać, więc jak rozumiem, potrzebny jest po prostu równolegle idący plan, który będzie powodował, że społeczeństwo energetycznie nie będzie ubożało jeszcze bardziej wskutek realizacji nowych technologii. Bardzo proszę.
Well, indeed, I think it's correct that we have to look at what we call indeed the energy poverty. But I'm a little bit more optimistic as the wind and solar energy are moving very fast. And if you see the price decreasement of especially solar, and with building into it solar, with solar laminate for facade and roofs, I think for the housing side it will be cheaper and cheaper. With high performance perovskites within 5 to 10 years, I think for households, I don't worry. It's more for our way of living with mobility. That will be cheaper indeed. But there, I think there will be some new opportunities to have synthetic fuels with some new technologies that could improve. My opinion, when you asked for community, and also was the former panel, it's more about adaptation of the technology. I think we have all kind of perfect strategies, but my point would be come in touch with the delayed majority, because they are the most difficult group that should adapt the new technologies and to live in a proper way. And there is a big gap between policy and the late majority who should also adapt, and they don't know what to do. So I'm really. We should have a strategy more on communication and get in touch with the late majority, and that they can adapt in the proper way the new technologies, and that the energy poverty will be on the lowest level possible.
Dziękuję. Bardzo proszę. Yes, the same question.
Well, okay, it's working. I think it's not a question for. Well, I'm not a politician. Well, I have a role. I'm coming from the embassy in Warsaw. But personally, I would say I think when we think about technologies, well, the technologies are needed for sure, and we have to advance. But I have been working formally in the area of sustainable city development, and there was a huge demand, well, the outcry, well, we need electric vehicles because they are going to solve us the mobility problem in the cities. I say no, they're not going to solve any problem. Well, if you have cars run by electric motors, well, they will do the same as the combustive engines. There will be just cars, and there are too many cars. So we also have to, we not only have to change the technology we are using, we also have to change the ways we are organizing our societies. And this is hard because nobody in our societies, in democratic societies, can speak about prohibitions. Well, to say you are not allowed to go to the city center. Well, you can do it for 4 years and then there will be an election and you will be out. So you have to find a way, and this also is something we have studied in socio-economic studies, find a way to convince people, not to tell them what to have to do. They have to find out themselves. This means this is the so-called transdisciplinary transformative research. This means taking citizens, civil society seriously, not just as an object or somebody you have to tell what they have to do and they're going to follow you because they're not going to follow you. You have to make them able to find their way in a sustainable way, and it's very difficult. And we are running out of time. So I'm glad that I'm not a politician at the moment. But it's challenging. It's very interesting, and it's very interesting, but well, we are really running out of time. We see it every time. We see it every year. Well, these IPCC reports are really, you see, I have no words for it. You see, we are moving very slow, but the world is changing, and we have to do it now. Go for green hydrogen.
Dziękuję, a my mamy jeszcze kilka minut. Obiecałam Państwu możliwość zadania pytania. Czy ktoś z Państwa ma zagadkę dla naszych prelegentów? Bardzo proszę, ja podejdę z mikrofonem. Mamy 2 panów z Niemiec i pana z Holandii, czyli 2 przodujące wodorowo kraje. No, proszę się jeszcze chwilkę namyśleć, a ja tu jeszcze popracuję w takim razie. Szanowni panowie, to w takim razie pozwolę sobie, skoro nasza sala jest nieśmiała, pozwolę sobie zadać kolejne pytanie. Proszę mi powiedzieć, bo odnoszę wrażenie, że wodór jest ważny, ale nie najważniejszy i że ma moc zmiany, ale nie do końca i że ludzie by chcieli, ale się boją. Więc nie wiem, czy być może powinniśmy myśleć równolegle o innych rozwiązaniach. Czy to jest wyjście z sytuacji, Czy też być może bariery są tak poważne, że nie do końca jesteśmy przekonani, czy to jest jedyna właściwa droga? Panie profesorze, bardzo proszę.
Question of research. I think that we should intensify research on alternatives, but I don't see any on the horizon, at least not on that time scale where we do have to accomplish certain targets. So we have to meet certain targets to 2030, and I don't see anything on the level of piloting which could be developed faster into production scale, which could subsidize that, substitute that. So at the moment, I think we have to rely on it. And if I may make a little joke, as I said, I'm coming from chemical process safety. I wouldn't have had any fun in my life, so to say, if hydrogen wouldn't have the properties it does have. So that makes it interesting. No, but to be a little bit more serious, for in the other panel there was the reference to the Lakehurst situation there in 1930 or so. Time has changed so much. We are not using steel pipelines anymore. We can use carbon fiber coated ones and so forth. The tanks have can now be manufactured with carbon fiber with much lower weights, but even stronger resistance to impact and so forth. So I think what we additionally need is what I call the program with the mouse. This is perhaps something very typical for German. It's a series on Sunday morning where a cartoon mouse explains things on a very understandable level. So we have to make this understandable. We have to transfer this knowledge, and there we still have strong deficits. And I think we should put a lot of effort into communication, what has changed when handling hydrogen during the recent 20 years, and that nobody has to be afraid of it anymore.
Drodzy Państwo, czy Państwo nie obawiają się, czy Panowie nie obawiają się, że my w tej chwili na wodór kładziemy tak duży nacisk i odrobinę bezrefleksyjnie, jak wcześniej robiliśmy to z paliwami kopalnymi, licząc na to, że gaz zawsze będzie tani, zawsze będzie, ropa nie będzie drożała bardziej niż dopóki się nie okazało, że to jest niemożliwe. Chodzi mi o to, że my w tej chwili się bardzo koncentrujemy na wodorze. Nie powiem, że za bardzo, bo to jest pierwsze środkowoeuropejskie forum technologii wodorowych, więc w Polsce tak naprawdę dopiero zaczynamy się koncentrować, ale na przykład Holandia robi to od dawna, czy Niderlandy, przepraszam bardzo za to przejęzyczenie. Czy to nie jest tak, że zaufamy wodorowi zbyt mocno, nie mając pewności, że on nam się odpłaci z nawiązką Paul?
Good question. I think it could be a possibility. The biggest threat, I think, is that we are all making all kind of plans. The one bigger as the other one, 100 megawatt, 1 gigawatt plans for electrolyzing, etc., and we're doing nothing. So we can't show anything if it's possible, yes or no. So that's the way we don't gain any trust. I think there are real opportunities. Electrolyzer business is known for 80, 90 years, so we know how to do it. I think there are two challenges. One is from planning and strategies, etc., into action, and I see it going on now. I'm not that pessimistic. Within 2 years, it will change a lot, and we see a lot of wind and solar power production. If the permits will be shorter, and I think there will be, as of the gas issues right now, we will have a lot more solar and wind power, and for storage we need the hydrogen. So first one is improve the electrolyzer, new designs, and make them scalable and replicable, that the cost price will go down. And I think within the high-tech industry we should make the combination between high-tech, chemical and energy industry. Combine them and you will get it. And I think Bosch, Siemens and other ones are working on it. Also some companies of ours. And the second one is make the demonstrations, as we are now doing with the trucks, but also with some short sea coasters. Dual fuel or mono fuel, let's see, and it will work. demonstrate, and then go on. And I'm not that pessimistic. Within 2-3 years, we see a lot of demonstrations. And for the public, I think households, hydrogen will be a very low level, my opinion. It will be all electric, heat pumps, solar, etc. So it should be more on mobility and then long haul. So choose your audience, choose some late majority, come in contact with them, and show it is possible within these two action and more rational electrolyzer production, lower price.
Bardzo dziękuję.
May I comment on that? We have no time to wait for something else. And as I said, we don't have any alternatives, especially in the process industry, if we want to decarbonize it on a short scale. Perhaps to understand a little bit better what I'm meaning, the state of Brandenburg has installed renewable energies up to an amount that balance-wise we could cover 95% of the electrical power we would need in Brandenburg. Comparison, the average in Germany is 46%. It took us 35 years to install the 46%. The target for 2030 is 80%. So we have to double the amount of installed renewable energy in 8 years. Formerly, it took us 35 years. So there is no time left. It's the same with the question of Ukrainian war. Should we just focus on the energy challenges which is caused by the war, or should we wait to look into solving the climate problem later on? That would be the worst thing to do. We have to do it in parallel. The longer we wait, the steeper the slope will be to achieve certain goals. And so, as we have no time to wait, hydrogen is the champagne we have to use for this kind of energy transition.
Bardzo dziękuję. I ostatnie pytanie, troszkę podsumowujące. Pan Florian Frank, wspominał Pan kilkakrotnie o badaniach społecznych, które Państwo przeprowadzali nad nowymi technologiami, OZE, wodorowymi również. Proszę nam powiedzieć, czy podejście społeczne do takich technologii zmienia się i czy ono się zmienia pod wpływem konieczności, czyli ludzie odczuwają, że zmiany klimatyczne są dramatyczne, więc godzą się na te nowe technologie, czy dlatego, że sami odczuwają korzyści z nich płynące? Just one. Just 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, very short time to answer this difficult question. I think, well, the society is ready to a certain extent. It depends if we're also able to solve the social problems that are connected with that. Well, the well-off and the middle class can afford it, while the lesser well-off can't. And but there's a distribution problem of our societies that existed before the energy crisis. So this is not connected to the energy crisis, just the energy crisis makes it more severe. And I think we have to take society seriously, because without society and democratic societies, we can't do nothing. We need them, and I think it's a difficult process, because we have spoken about efficiency, that we need more efficiency, but on the other side we have rebound effects. So the people use new bulbs, the LED bulbs, to light their homes, but instead of saving energy, they have more light at home. It's also nice, but you're not going to solve the energy problem in this way. So you have to find a way to discuss with them and to convince them. And I would like to end with a very nice phrase of a German politician, Ralf Fuchs, former politician. He said, when it came to growth strategies, because we are Western societies, but also all capitalistic societies need growth. Well, every year we need 1, 2, 3. Well, now in Poland with the champion 7.5% growth is great. But to a certain extent, well, the Earth, it's not going to grow, where we're using, I think, 3 times the Earth we have. So we have to do something different, because we can't tell the other countries, don't follow our example, we have done it wrong, just stay where you are. In Africa, just stay. So he said, well, the growth has a limit, but the only growth that has no limit is the creativity of humanity, of human beings. They are very creative, and if we are creative in the next years to come, and we continue to develop new technologies, but we keep in touch with society, then we are going to be able, we have to, because nobody of us wants to finish.
Thank you very much. Bardzo Państwu dziękuję. Zakończyliśmy tę część spotkania. Dziękuję moim gościom. Thank you very much.